Hey YouTube, what's going on? My name is Andrew, aka the Black Dragon, and this is Recovery Station. I'm here with Dr. Kent, Mr. Kent Hopper, and we are going to be talking about nothing but recovery. That's what the channel is about, where we just talk about recovery and nothing else. So let's get into today's topic, which was supposed to be sponsorship. And I honestly, you're going to see a sponsor and sponsee in action anyways, but something a little different occurred this week for me specifically. So I thought, let's do relationships in recovery, because I'm having one hell of a time personally with romantic relationships ever since I got into recovery. And yeah, Kent's my sponsor. So I talked to Kent about everything related to that. And he tells me a lot about his own relationships too. So Kent, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, and we can get this show on the road.
Hey family, I'm an addict and Kent. Well, we were going to talk about sponsorship, but a sponsee and I discussed, as you heard, and we decided to change the topic from sponsorship to relationships in recovery. Alrighty. So YouTube, we are here. Please subscribe to the channel, like, leave a comment. It does grow our popularity. And if you like these videos, share them with other recovering addicts. Why? Because we want to grow.
We want everyone to see this.
Yes, we want to hit 1,000 likes.
Oh yeah, dude.
And that will grow our channel. And once we hit 1,000, we'll hit another one. So we need you to help us here. Okay, this is the recovery station for all. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you're in AACA, GA, or all the other SEXA, all the other anonymous programs. It doesn't matter. This is about recovery. Notice the word recovery. Okay, that's what it's about. And without further ado, Andrew, talk about our topic today.
All right, so basically something happened to me this week. It's just like the same old story. I'm not going to get into specifics, and I definitely don't want to turn this into a complaining fest, but I will just say my own experiences from this week. Basically, I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself, since this is a new channel and a lot of you probably don't know who I am. So I got clean roughly 10 years ago, in May 9th, 2015. So it's been a long time. I've been, single for most of it. I did have a few here and there's with a couple of different people, but it was nothing serious and definitely didn't go anywhere. So, there's been a lot of pain, man. Like I've had a hard time without the use of drugs, without the use of alcohol, to just be able to just be myself around women. And I think that was one of the reasons that I drank and I drugged for so many years, especially drinking, man. When I was drinking, I felt like a king. I felt like I had confidence and I just didn't care what people thought of me. And I was just the life of the party until I got blacked out and then passed out. And then I was passed out on the couch. I was always the first one passed out and the last one to go home. So doesn't mean I didn't get a lot of pussy, because I did, dude. I got a lot when I was young. Like when I was like between the ages of like 16 to 21 years old, I was getting it in, man, but when I got into recovery, things got very real for me. I've already had 2 kids by the time I got into recovery, and that was pretty much the stopping point for me. I had 2 kids when I was 21 years old, and I never expected to have those kids. It was unplanned. And honestly, it changed me as a man. Like having those 2 kids instilled the fear of God in me, because I realized at that point that that's what sex did. You have a literal chance of having kids. And when you have kids, your life changes. You're buying diapers, you're buying baby food, you're changing diapers. It's gross. You're always hearing a kid crying, screaming 24/7. It's all about the kid. And as a young 21-year-old man who just wanted his freedom and just wanted to do his own thing, it was a match made. It was a disaster. It was destined for the graveyard. So, anyways, let's skip forward. My relationships have been troublesome. Since that, me and my ex-fiance did break up. Thankfully, for both her and I's sake, and the kids, we are no longer together. And yeah, that let's skip forward to now, which is I'm 35 now. And honestly, dude, I have not had an actual girlfriend in many years because of that. I don't relate well to women, generally speaking. I don't get along with women. It's not that I hate women. It's more like I just don't trust. I don't trust very easily. Kent says I'm stubborn. I don't give my heart out like I used to. I used to be a simp. I used to just, throw myself at women and say all these nice things to women and just put women on a pedestal. Women were so important, and it got me into a lot of trouble. So as the years progressed in my recovery, I started to become a man. I started to grow some balls. I started to be able to stand up for myself and not accept all these toxic behaviors that a lot of women in today's world have. A lot of it's emotional damage, manipulation, stuff like that. That's how women get you. They grab you by the balls and they don't let go. The only one that can allow it to continue is you. And I allowed that behavior for so many years. It just became normal to me, to the point where I didn't even know it was wrong to be lied to or to be cheated on or to be, strung along or led along by somebody who only wanted you for your money or who only wanted you for your, what. So that's not to say I was innocent either, because obviously I wasn't a perfect person either. But right now we're focusing on this situation that happened to me recently, and I don't really want to drag this on too long, but Kent, you know what happened? I met someone within the last couple of days. I hit it off with them initially. It was great. We were having good conversation, and she was a little clingy, a little like a little, you could tell that she was into me, right? You could just tell. And I kind of like that. I like it when a woman shows her interest in you rather than as like telling you and trying to like butter you up and all that stuff. They're just doing things unconsciously to kind of make you feel like, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? And I went along with it. I said, okay, she's kind of getting to me a little bit, because I don't normally just open up to women. So I opened up a little bit and I let her in a little bit, and she slapped me right away. She just started doing shit, and it was really, really bad. Like, she started lying, she started manipulating, and then she ghosted me. Like, this very same day that she was being clingy and telling me, "Oh, please message me. I'll reply to you all the time, I promise." And stuff like that, just being very weird and saying very weird things and doing very weird things. And then eventually leading to the ghosting. So yeah, I'm at the point now where I just don't fucking care, man. I'm just so done with it. And it's not to say that I won't ever date again or that I won't ever, but just right now, man, I'm just happy, to be single, because I would rather be single. And this is a true statement. A lot of people out there are going to sit there and think, oh, he's just saying that because he's single. Well, no, it's actually true. I'm happier to be single than to be with somebody who's toxic. Does not mean I wouldn't want to be with somebody who's normal, like healthy, but right now I don't have that. And I'm not just going to go out and get hookers and go out and throw myself at women like some desperate cuck. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather just focus on my work, focus on my life, and do all the things that were suggested to me by people that have gone through this exact same situation before. If you don't think it works, try it. It does work. It's a little bit weird at first. Like, for the first year or two, yeah, it is kind of awkward. The hardest thing for me as a single man is to see other people happy. It's to see other couples happy. Because it's like, that could be me, right? I envision myself having that life, and then I look to my right and nobody's there. So Um, it is what it is. I don't think too much about it anymore. But um, the worst thing about recovery is you get feelings. And the best thing about recovery is you get feelings. You get your feelings back. So, not having those drugs to cope, not having that alcohol to cope, can really mess with a man's head at first, especially a young guy like me who's used to just going out and partying, getting whichever women he wants, really, like having the confidence to just do whatever I wanted. Now I have to kind of pick and choose my battles, and kind of get to know myself, right? Can't Recovery is about getting to know yourself. And if you don't know yourself and respect yourself and love yourself, then no woman is ever going to come into your life, love you, respect you, and see and hold you as that high value man that you are until you start acting that way yourself. So until I learn how to act that way myself, I'm not going to attract good women into my life. And I'm at rest. I'm at peace with that. It sucks. It is what it is, but I got myself into this situation in the first place, and the only one that can get myself out of this situation is not Kent. It's not my mother, it's not my dad, it's not my friends, it's me. I'm the one that has to work my way out of this hole. If I don't want to be single the rest of my life and miserable, you know, how many people out there can't single and pretending like they're happy to be single for the rest of their life? Oh, I'll never need a man. I'll never need a woman. But you can tell it, they're not happy, you know? They're just
Well,
saying that just to try and cope, basically, right?
I beg to differ. Listen, all right, to voice a couple of voices of experience here. Um, I was about 2 years clean, and I decided that this person who I met in the program that I would get married to. Well, um, the church covered the whole cost of the wedding and the marriage license and the reception, and the marriage lasted 4 days. It wasn't even consummated because um, we had an argument. She took it the wrong way. And the whole gist of it was she said that they're her kids. Now, I'm a firm believer this way: men that marry women or ladies with children become fathers. And I was okay with that. However, based on what she said to me after this fight, she said, they're my children and I'll deal with them. Fine. I had plans to go out with the guys from the church, and she had plans to go out with her girlfriends. Well, she was on the way out the door and she says, Eric needs changed. Go change him. Uh, no, they're your kids. You deal with it. And I walked out. And when I come back, oh boy, was it a fight. Because she had to cancel her plans, and but she's the one that made it that way. You know, I was willing to accept the children as mine, and we shared them. But she wasn't okay with that. So I she ended up kicking me out after the big fight, and I ended up with a nervous breakdown. So we ended up eventually getting divorced. And when I was in the hospital, in the institution, I called her after 2 weeks because you can't have outside contact for 2 weeks. And I called her, and what did she say? She went back with her ex-beating boyfriend. Huh? Well, I lost it. And that kept me in the institution for another 2.5 weeks, you know, because, see, and I've seen people date in recovery. and they're not here anymore. They get together, they connect, they make a connection, they, start making out right away. Bad idea. Because I know as an addict, the minute I touch that vulnerable spot down there, I'm automatically in love. It's just funny how that works. And these people went the same way, and they split up, and neither one of them are there now in the meetings. And I've seen that happen time and time again. And I've been here since 1995. So I've seen it quite a few times. Now, dating in recovery is fine. However, there's a stipulation. And it says it right in our basic text. It's recommended in the program that we don't date for the first year. Why is that? Because we need to make this journey from here to there. And until I know self, and it says it right in our basic text, the 4 points of the pyramid rise to the point of freedom by self, society, service, and God. So how is that not clear? And if you've read the basic text, you've seen our symbol and you know what it says. But yet we think with our small brain instead of our big brain. Oh, she's gorgeous. And we become like a dog in heat. Seen it many times. And it's okay to date in recovery. However, both have to be clear-headed. In other words, you got to get rid of that baggage you had when you came into this program. Don't take that baggage into another one, because you're just going to destroy it again. And if you're loving and need the love to complete you, well, by that definition, you're codependent. If you need somebody else to fulfill your needs, you're codependent. And that situation just doesn't work. Because if you have two codependent people in a relationship, it's like two magnets. What do? They push apart. But if you have one that's confident and one that's codependent, they can work together, they can mesh. However, you have to have a level head and know thyself. I can't remember what it says in Latin, but the phrase is know thyself. In other words, know yourself. Know who you are. Know what you want. Because if you don't, you're going to keep making the same mistake over and over again. And if I didn't get rid of the baggage that I had, folks, I had 4 freaking failed relationships that 3 of those ended in divorce. Because I wasn't ready. Now, I'm not talking here a year, 2 years clean. I'm talking 10, 12 years clean, before I even considered a relationship. Now, if you're going to date, that's fine. But dating doesn't include going to bed together. Dating is going out for coffee, going to a movie, take her home, leave her on the doorstep, and walk away. If she leaves the door open, walk away. Because if you're anything like any other addict I know, the minute I get involved with that sex, I'm in love. And actually, in definition, I wasn't actually in love, I was in lust. That's the way it goes. Because if I can't separate the relationship from the sex, well, that's basically exactly what it is a lust relationship. And I've seen people find that through that relationship, it always ended in separation or divorce or worse. And God forbid if there's kids involved, because now you're in a real different kettle of fish, you know, because you're not only affecting you and her, you're affecting the children too. So you have to understand that. And this is why, this is how it works. Okay. There's nothing wrong with dating and recovery. But notice what I said, dating. And dating is not going to bed together. It's not sex buddies. You know, it's dating. You go for coffee, you get to know each other, you spend time. Folks, I spent 2.5 years with my wife before we even touched each other that way. Because I needed to know her, what her likes, what her dislikes were, what her favorite color was. And yes, I even know the color of her eyes. You know, you have to know things about the other people. Because one of the words I used to use when a, a woman got obnoxious is I said, "Oh, you're acting like a bitch." Well, I said that one day, "You're acting like a witch." And oh boy, did her temper come out. She said, "Did you just call me a bitch? Do I look like a female dog?" I said, "No, honey, I didn't call you a witch. I said, I called you a witch, not a bitch." And she's like, "Well, don't you ever call me a bitch." Okay, point taken. But you see, if I didn't know that, I would make that mistake. And that's part of knowing your companion, whether it be male or female, male and male, female and male. You don't can't help who you fall in love with. You know, you can't. But it's like this, folks. Make sure you know your partner inside and out. And I don't mean down there. I mean from the inside out, from the heart out. You know, I look at my wife and I don't see um, a sexual thing. Now, of course, I love her sexually. Of course. Of course. What man doesn't love that? You know, there's something wrong with you if you don't, you know, seriously, because it's part of a relationship, but it shouldn't be the main part, you know. First, I look at my wife and I see a beautiful lady. I look at my wife and I see my girlfriend. I see my fiance. I see my mistress. I see my hooker, you know. Everything that I want is in her. So I don't need to go elsewhere because I have at the reach of my hand what I need and what is perfect for me. Why? Because I know her. I know what she likes. For an example, she likes dogs. I don't. She likes purple. I do too. She likes yellow. I hate yellow. Yeah, I know. I'm wearing a yellow shirt. Don't put in the comments why you wearing a yellow shirt.
You were supposed to wear a black shirt today.
Well, yeah, well,
I'm kidding. I
I
did
know.
not tell him to wear a black shirt.
No, I know that. He said that because of last week we had the same shirt on, the same color. That's why he said that. So if you look at the videos, we look like twins, you know. And it's kind of cool when that happens because um, this program works if you work it. So work it. You're worth it. Seriously. And if you want to get into a relationship, first thing I say to you is talk to your sponsor. If you don't have a sponsor, get one. If you
If you're
don't
in
think you need
recovery,
one, yes. If you don't think you need one, you better read the basic text.
Ken, what do you
And
have
you
to
better,
say? Sorry, I was just gonna
and you
say,
bet.
You can keep talking. I have a
And
question for you when you're done.
and you better read IP number 21. It's about sponsorship. And if you're like me, I had the sponsorship book, and it's very detailed. Now, I don't suggest you get that right away, but I suggest you get it. But I suggest you talk to somebody in a program before you get into a relationship. Shoot, Andrew, and I don't mean literally. Ah!
I was just gonna
Son
ask
of a
you,
bitch
Ken.
got me.
Sully. I was just gonna ask you, man, what do you have to say about, like, what do you think about all these ridiculous dating coaches, alpha male dating tips, and women talking about dating tips going around TikTok, YouTube, online? Let's talk about that for a minute. All
TikTok,
these
TikTok.
retards, yeah, and I'm saying it. I have character defects. I'm saying it. All these retarded people that go on and teach people how to play women and play mind games and manipulate women and manipulate men into falling in love with them and all this shit. And they have people falling for it hook, line, and sinker, paying them thousands and thousands of dollars so that they can go
Well,
out to the bar on Friday night and pick up a hooker. Like,
you,
bro,
you're talking to a man who is a professional at dating sites. And I say professional because I sailed a lot. The dating sites are great.
let me just stop you there. I'm the king of dating sites if we're
No,
going
you're
that
not.
I am. When I create a profile on Tinder or Plenty of Fish, I don't get a single reply. That's
Well,
my life on those
okay.
dating
Yeah,
sites.
but see, that's not a professional. You should get replies, and I get replies all the time. You know, well, I did, and it's like, you know what? Um, I I was like 50 years old. I had 18 and 20-year-olds hitting on me, and I'm thinking, this is great. This is wonderful. And they said, how about a relationship? How about not? I'm not dating my child. No, 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 no. I have a limit that I will go. Okay. Yeah, down to 25, 30 is about it. That's as far as I was going to go. If you're 18, 19, 21, or before 25, you know what? You're not going to do it. And as far as these gurus, I call them gigolos, that sit there and play women, well, you know what?
They
It's like,
deserve to be slapped.
no, it's like the world believes karma's a bitch. And you know what? Some lady's going to come along and do the very same thing to you.
Let me put it to you this way. If these men are so good at getting women, if they're going out with 30, 40 different women a month, do you really think they would have a daily video posting on YouTube about their dating life and their relationship advice?
Well, you know
If they
something?
were that popular,
You know something? If you're dating um, a woman a month, you got a problem.
man,
And
I
sitting there
know
going,
some guys that are dating a new one they say they're dating like 3 or 4 a week. That's
well,
not some guys.
we'll get to that. Okay. These guys that date one woman a day, it's like, and don't want to get attached. Well, you know what? There's all kinds of free porn out there. You don't need to do that. And if you like the touchy feely, don't want to know your name type of deal, you're a gigolo.
Yeah,
And
but porn's not the
the
same as actually being
doesn't
with
matter.
someone.
Then you know what? Keep your libido in your pants. Plain and simple. Boys, have some control. And I say that about men because I am a man, but also women are the same bloody way. There's some out there that are just after you for mucho uno, you know? And when I was dating, after we talked for a little bit, I'd say this. How about a video chat? If they say no, guess what? Block delete is my favorite button.
Because what
You
does
know,
that mean if if they don't want you to see them face to face?
it's a red flag for me.
Big
You
red
know,
flag.
it could mean that they're a guy pretending to be a woman. And let me tell you, if you want that proven fact, watch the show Catfish. It's many times. It's been a guy being a girl. And
Romance
that's
scam,
disgusting.
man. Romance scams. They're so popular.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been on OnlyFans a lot. Single man, OnlyFans. It's like the perfect combination for a lazy ass motherfucker like me. But I'll tell you, the amount of bots and managed accounts, like account managers that I've spoken to, instead of the actual person, or know that that's who's reaching out, because actually you don't even message them anymore. The second you subscribe or follow one of those models' profiles, they're instantly hitting your DMs. Hey baby, here's a video of me specially made for you at the low cost of $39.99. It's like a 15-second clip of them, you know. Come on, bro. Like, yeah, that's really just for me, eh? And then the second you message them back, boom, they're right in your So, you know, I don't fucking, what am I even trying to say, man? It's just all bullshit. I don't believe it's actually, it has the reverse effect, man. It's really not good to be going in those places.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, man. Even though I'm single, I'm growing older and I'm growing wiser. And I've lost interest, in those types of things. Rarely now do I go on OnlyFans or, hang out on those websites like I used to. I used to try and make friends with the models and, it was just, it was ridiculous. Ridiculous, man.
There's nothing wrong with having friends.
Yeah, but that.
Okay.
That's not what we want.
That being said, okay. The best way to meet somebody is to know somebody. Now, what do I mean by that? Yes, dating sites can work. I'm not saying they can't. Some people have had great luck with them. Me, myself, I had craps all the time. That's what I had, craps. And if I would have got involved, I probably would have got craps. So, no, it's not happening for me, ever.
Let me put it to you this way.
Yeah.
I eventually came to my senses and realized through talking to all these models on OnlyFans and, what's the other one? The Fansly and shit like that. You think to yourself after a while, would I really ever even want to date a porn star or somebody that's video chatting and sexting with other men all day? Doesn't matter if it's fake. Doesn't matter if she's
certainly won't.
Yeah, exactly. And after a while, I just lost interest. It was just like, I don't even care to know how you're doing anymore. I don't care. You want to send me a message? I'll just ignore it. Half of my messages, 98% of my messages I get in those inboxes, I don't even fucking read them, man. I never made one friend in those websites because they're all just hookers looking for money, dude. They don't care about your friendship. They don't want your friendship, dude. Reality check. They don't give a fuck about your friendship or your love, dude. All they want is your money. And if you believe any different, well, just give it a few years and you'll eventually see the same thing. But if you want to listen to what I'm saying and save yourself a few dollars, man, I spent hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, on those bitches. And I can tell you right now, it ain't real. It ain't real and it ain't lasting. It's not real, dude. Do yourself a favor and go spend it on yourself. Go spend it on yourself and, already you've won. That's all I got to say about that, man. Like, use your hand, dude. Use your hand. Use your hand and use your head.
My experience is this. I lost $2,000 that way. I almost lost my place to live. Because of this chick. And the excuse that she gave me was this. Now think about this for a second. What lady do you know that is in love with a man that's going to forget to check their passport, whether it's expired or not? You're coming to the man you love. Do you think that you're not going to check your passport? Liar.
That is every
Yeah.
woman's favorite toxic excuse. I forgot to check my messages. I forgot to hit send. I forgot to call you last night when I got home. I forgot to check my passport in my bag when I was going cross country to see you, and now my flight's delayed. Can you send me another 500?
Well,
I mean, can't tell him
and
about this. Tell him about showing up at the airport with Flower Story. That one just fucking gets me, man.
well, that's the one I'm talking about. And this girl, um, her name, she went by Kim. Okay. And we talked for almost a year. And we video chatted periodically, but she would never show her face. And I'd hear in the background and I'd hear the man's voice, and I'm thinking, who's that? Oh, that's just my brother, or that's my cousin. Oh, okay. So she wouldn't go on video with me. And I'm thinking, well, this girl really loves me. And I sent her 200 for something, and then I sent her $800. That was my rent money, folks. And I sent it to her. And I go all the way out to the airport, which was like a 45-minute, no, almost an hour trip on the bus. It was like 45 minutes, 55 minutes to get to the airport. And when you get there, you still got to walk some. So I had to walk. Now it was September. It wasn't bad. I had a bouquet of flowers, and I'm like all happy, telling the bus driver I'm going to meet the love of my life. And I get to the airport and I look at the flight number. Flight comes, flight goes. And I'm thinking, did I miss her? So I texted her, no reply. I said, I tried calling her. Um, the number you have reached is not in service.
Oh, oh my God.
Um, okay.
Know where that's
So
going.
I I wait 4 hours because I thought maybe she was late. The flight was overbooked or something, and I waited 4 hours. 4 hours, folks, at the airport.
With the
By the
bouquet of
time,
flowers in your hand.
yeah, yeah, with a bouquet of flowers, and my self-esteem is diminishing by the second. So I take the
I don't mean to
flowers.
laugh. I can just relate, man. I can relate so much to your story.
I throw the flowers in the garbage. I crawl my ass back on the bus, and when I get on the bus, it's the same bus driver. And he just looks at me and smiles. And I felt like punching him in the mouth. I went and sat down and I swallowed it in my seat. Just swallowed in my seat. And I get back home. And I go on my computer. No message. 3 days. She replies, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I forgot to check my passport." Are you freaking kidding me? So I'm going, really? Seriously? You forgot to check your passport. I said to her, "You're coming to the man you love, and you forget to check your passport before you even get the money and book the flight." I said, "You lying bitch." I knew it was a lie. And I come to find out after I did some investigation, she was doing that for her boyfriend because he wanted money. Now, I'm thinking, what bitch does that? Seriously. Really? Truly. So dating in recovery, don't use dating sites, folks. You know,
Don't use Facebook dating. Don't use Tinder.
well, now, no, I disagree with Facebook because if it's somebody like I met my wife on Facebook. Okay. I did. We were playing a game together. It was called Castle Age. We battle other guilds and stuff like this. It was a lot of fun. We talk back and forth. And but the first almost year,
Yeah, but
well,
that's
we talked.
Facebook, Ken. I was talking about Facebook dating, the app. It's an
Yeah,
app.
but it's still on Facebook. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking to real Facebook. Okay, where you actually see the person, where you actually have talked to the person.
Yeah.
So we started video chatting. We started talking. I started asking questions. She asked me questions. I'd ask her questions. And then lo and behold, my wife tells me to get out. So then we became friends. Before that, we were just gaming buddies, right? Gaming friends. That's all we were. You know, there was no romantic involved. And then we started to get to know each other. Then we started dating. Then a whole story, But the short version of that is know the person before you decide to date the person. So if you want to date in recovery, this hot chick comes in and she gives you her number, red flag, you know, think to yourself, why are you giving me your number? Why are you not giving ladies your number? Um, and go for go for a date with her. Go to coffee. If she doesn't want to go, guess what she's after, boys? And I'm telling you, in Narcotics Anonymous and in any step meeting group, you will find the 13 steppers. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, 13 steppers are like this guy that I'm talking about. Okay. I looked at him, and all the time he gave his numbers to girls. And then shortly after, those girls weren't there anymore. And I'm thinking, why are they not here? I thought you were talking. They weren't talking, they were screwing. And he left them. So I grabbed him one day and I took him outside. And I said, listen, buddy, you give your number to one more girl, I'm going to go to that girl and I'm going to tell her what you've been doing. Well, you can't do that. It's my program. I said, that's not program, asshole. I said, that's called 13 stepping, and you're not supposed to do that. You won't take my number. You won't take a guy's number, but you'll take a girl's number. You freaking gigolo. You know?
He's a
Who's calling me
predator.
a gigolo? Yeah. I said, he goes, you calling me a gigolo? I said, okay, let me say this. You're a pervert. You're disgusting. If you give another girl your phone number, I'm going to tell her what you're. So,
He's picking on sick women and taking advantage of the fact that they're vulnerable and easy. They're easy.
but however, that being said, there are girls that do that too.
Sure,
And
sure there are.
notice the term I used here, girls, because a woman or a lady won't do that. Now she knows you. I have girls' phone numbers in my phone. Yes, I do. But 90% of those girls are already in a committed relationship. And they talk to me because I have experience in the program. That's it. There's nothing romantic because if there was, my wife would cut my head off. You know, uh, little story for you. I'm kind of a nice guy, and I give compliments where you know if a girl's pretty, I'll tell her. You
Yeah.
know, and I was talking to this one girl, and I was calling her sweet names, and she said, "Why are you doing that?" Well, I said, "Well, it's just friendly." That's not the way she's going to take that. And I think back to when I was dating this other chick, and we are in a club. Now we weren't drinking; we were doing karaoke. We were drinking cranberry juice. And this girl comes over and she says, I can't remember, something nice. And my girlfriend at this time looks at me and she says, she's hitting on you, right? Whatever. I'm kind of blonde when it comes to that stuff, right? In other words, I'm kind of stupid to that. And she says, no, that's what she's doing.
Right.
So she wouldn't stop. So I went over to her and I looked at her and I said, are you hitting on me? And she said, yes. and go back to the table, and I'm shaking my head, and my girlfriend just looked at me with those eyes. I told you.
Men are
Told
stupid.
you. And
See,
it's like,
women's signs aren't clear either. Like they think they're being so clear in their flirting, but half the time us dumb guys, we don't understand what they're doing.
so the point that we're trying to make here is this. It's fine to date in recovery, but know thyself and know the other person as well. Because that person has to know thyself too. Because it's like taking two magnets and putting them together with the same poles. What do? They push apart, right? So if you take that magnet, you turn it around and put the opposite pole, they connect. That's what you got to do. Okay? You got to find that opposite pole to you. And why do I say that? I always used to look for the butchy type girls. You know, my wife won't even kill a spider. She'll put it on a piece of paper and take it outside. It's the kind of person my wife is. She won't get mad. She won't blow up. She won't lose her temper. And I'm not used to that. You know, I first got with her, I'm like, what is this? Yeah, I wasn't used to that passive behavior, you know? But now, if you get her riled up, she will tear a strip off you and she'll let you know in no uncertain terms. But it takes a lot to get her there. But let me tell you, folks, the old saying and old adage is this: opposites attract. You know, and if it's what I want, well, let me tell you this, folks. Newsflash, extra, extra, read all about it. God knows best.
So I guess this is a good question that a lot of people out there might be wanting to ask you right now. And it's one that I certainly would want to hear your experience on. If one's wanting to get to know who they are in recovery, or just in general in life, a young man or a young woman wanting to get to know themselves, what's the best way to go ahead and do that?
Steps, step work. Because talking to your sponsor, going to meetings, and step work. Now, I just don't mean rushing through the steps. Okay. Step one, we admit that we're powerless over our addiction and our lives have become unmanageable. Yeah, that's clear, but there's more to it than that. There's resentments, there's reservations, there's denial, there's unforgiveness, there's unmanageability. There's so much to that. Then you look at step two. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore sanity. Well, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result, which is what most addicts do. Well, if I take this drug because it's not my DLC, I'll be okay. No, you won't. A drug is a drug, period. So that power greater than yourself can take that insanity and kick it to the curb and show you how to be sane. And then step three, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step three, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives stand them. You see how that?
Repeat that. Repeat that. You cut out the last 5 seconds. Step three.
Step three, we came to believe, or sorry.
Step two.
We made a decision. No. Step three, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God of our understanding. Notice what that says. Our understanding. Not your understanding, not the world's understanding, my understanding, my personal God. That's what it's about.
So can my God be a doorknob like some of these idiots are saying?
It can be.
So my God can be a doorknob.
Let me say this. Is a doorknob gonna stop you from using?
No.
Probably not. Now, if it's locked and you're on the locked side with the key, maybe that might work. But I don't know of a doorknob that can lock and not have a key to it.
I know that sounds retarded, but dude, I've heard so many people say this stupid
Oh, I
shit
know.
like, "Oh, this box is my god," or "Oh, this bottle of water is my." Like, these people are just out to lunch, man. Your God,
No.
God is that. God is that's not God. That is an object. I'm sorry to tell you,
Yeah,
dude. That's an
it
object.
is. It is. And remember, people can fail you. Places can go. But one thing, things can be lost. But there's one thing, that unit, that person, that idol, that thing you pray to when you're in desperation in your addiction. And this is what I'm talking about. God, please help me get through this. And he does, or she does, or it does, and it takes that away. That's what we have to tap into.
That's the
Is
hardest
that
thing. That's the hardest thing,
it
man.
is?
Is as a young
But
person in recovery, for me,
mhm,
connecting with God was the most difficult thing that I've ever had to do because
me
I was
too.
so shut off from God,
Yeah, me
you
too.
know?
You know, I was into Satanism. I was into vampirism. I was into uh, some of the other isms. It's not coming to me right now. Um, and I did a lot of stuff. I even denied God. I renounced him when I was in the Satanism. I've read the Satanic Bible.
I,
I've
w-
read it.
I was just a straight up non believer, man. I
Yep.
believed humans had choice and that was it. You choose to do it or you choose not to.
Well, and
There's
and
no,
that's a simple way to look at God right there. Say that again
well, I
about
thought that was
human.
pretty stupid, actually. Like,
No, say that about human again.
you either choose to do it or you choose not to. Like, God has nothing to do with it. There's no such thing as
No.
God.
Well,
It's all personal
that
choice.
that thing that you believe in, whatever that is, choice, and choice can keep you clean for a while. But unless you tap into something when something horrible happens to you, like um, your mother dies, your father dies, your best friend dies.
But they didn't choose
Um,
those things and neither did you. You didn't
what's
choose their
that?
death for them and neither did they. I'm sure that
But that's going to affect you.
it's going to affect me.
So, what do you do with that? Where do you put that? If you just stuff it, eventually it's going to blow.
Well, if I lose control, then I have lost the power of choice because I'm no longer able to make decisions for myself.
See, and there you go, and there you're back into insanity.
Right. So what I'm saying is like in order to connect with God, you have to be
Mhm.
willing to believe in the first place that there's something wrong with you. Because if there's
Well,
not something wrong with you, then you think you're God. You think you're the most powerful thing, and then God can't get in and help you. And that's
well,
the block
it,
that most people have as an addict in early recovery that have never done the steps before.
let me
They
let me
can't
say this.
connect with God.
Let me say this on that. Jimmy Kay, who is the founder of Narcotics Anonymous in 1953, said it best. If you open the basic text, just open the cover and look at the first page. What's that first page?
God.
No, what's that first page in the basic text? What is this?
The NA's triangle.
That no, it's not.
Stop quizzing me. You're making me look like an idiot. Just tell me.
If you okay, well,
I'm not cutting that out. I'm not cutting
okay.
that part out.
You know what? As my sponsee, you should know this. Okay,
I failed that
because
test miserably, by the way.
yes, you did. If you open the basic text, take the basic text and open the cover. When you look, it's a blank page.
Ah.
And Jimmy Kay says that's how much we know about recovery when we come here. Goes with the old adage: you can't fill a cup that's already full.
Right.
So, that being said, once you get into the basic text, it uses the word how. So, honesty, open mindedness, and willingness. We have to have a new way of life. That old way is gone
Yeah.
because it didn't work, because it put us in a really bad place. You know, some of us hit rock bottom, some of us didn't, some of us didn't lose everything, but most of addicts lost everything.
Rock
You
bottom is
know,
wherever you want it to be, you know?
exactly.
For me
And
it was losing pretty much everything.
and the thing is, when you come into recovery, forget. And I love the way my sponsor put it the best. My first sponsor. I still miss him something awful. You know, he says to me this whenever I hemmed and hawed about something. Andrew will tell you how many times I said to him, hemmed and hawed about everything and sitting there and whining and but. My sponsor looked at me, he said, "But's bullshit." And he says, "How's that working for you?" Ugh. That's a kick to the gut and a punch to the head and a kick in the ball at the same time. You know, because what I thought worked didn't. So he says, "How's that working for you so far?"
Those are powerful words when they're said in the right moment. How's that working for you?
No,
It's not even really a question. It's more of a statement because you know
no,
how that's working for you.
exactly.
You
And
know
that's
how
the
it's
thing.
working for you. You just can't see it yet. Recovery is like a mirror, right? The 12 steps of recovery is like a mirror. It gives you a chance to observe yourself instead of looking toward others and blaming others for your issues, even if they are the ones that should be blamed. Recovery gives you a chance to look internally, which at first might seem like a curse and it might seem daunting and embarrassing, but it's actually good because that's what we need. We come in, we need that time to ourselves. We need to look at ourselves. We need to be selfish in that way where we put ourselves first. Most addicts don't put themselves first
And see,
because they think that they're not worth anything. They
and
think that they're
see,
worthless.
you see, this is where, and this is an analogy that just actually come to me, and it's profound for me. Recovery is like the Matrix. And for those of us who've ever seen the Matrix, that mirror, and this is what brought it to mind. That mirror, when he points that mirror, and it started coming into him. That's what recovery does. It starts taking over you. And not to control you, but to enlighten you. And when you come out of that perfect world, the world was a shitty place. And that's exactly what we've done in our life.
It's a very powerful experience to be able
Mm-hmm.
to have somebody else that you trust tell you something that you need to change about yourself or something that you're doing well. But it's another whole different level. Like you've leveled up now, buddy. If you can do that for yourself, you can assess yourself and say to yourself, this is the truth about me.
Yep.
This is my reality. You know, because addicts are really good at pulling the wool over their own eyes and living with
Mm-hmm.
those rose colored glasses and living in delusion and insanity. We're really good at that, but we're not
Yeah.
good at living in reality. Addicts hate
No,
reality.
no. And when somebody tells me something I don't want to hear, I get right. I used to get right defensive about it. And this is why I say when my sponsor was working with me, working through the steps, and I said, but, he said, how's that working for you so far? And I'm thinking, and if I face it and I'm honest with myself, I have to admit, he's right. You know, people say all the time to me, you're an asshole. Yes, I am. You're being a prick. Yes, I am. I know I am. And I don't care, because it's who I am. I'm very blunt, very bold, very direct, and you know what? If you don't like it, you know, because
Yeah.
I don't need negativity in my life. You know, I've been in this program for a while, a few days, and you know what? One of the things that has kept me in this program is to negativity. You know, and that
This
includes myself. That includes myself. That when I'm negative, I go. I have this little voice in my head that says, "What are you doing?" Let me explain it this way. For those of us, I'll give you two analogies. And those two analogies I think will help. The first one is those of us who've been in jail, I'm the jailer. However, after a while, the disease can be arrested. Arrest, we know if we've been to jail, what that means. You go behind bars and you're locked in there. And the guard has the key and they have to turn it to let you out. Don't matter how much you kick and squawk and whine and complain about that door being closed, they're not going to open it until it's time. Okay, so my diseases are arrested. I have the key. Now, I have a mean warden behind me. When I put that key in the lock and I go to turn it, he's like, "What are you doing? You really want to go down that road again?" And the other analogy I can use is this. Let's say you're in a car and you're going down the road and you see the sign detour. Are you going to drive through that detour and investigate what's going on, or are you going to go around that? Well, that detour, if you go down that way, you're right back in your addiction. The detour is to get around that addiction. And in recovery, you learn to detour from your addiction.
doesn't mean you stop living life. Just because you're
No,
sober or you're clean doesn't mean you stop living life.
no.
You actually start living life at that
Yeah,
point. Realize that, life has ups and downs. When I was
yeah.
drunk and stoned all the time, there weren't that many ups and downs for me. It was just stoned and drunk. That was my life. High. Not there. Absent. Mentally absent.
See,
Checked
I,
out.
I, I was like Andrew. I stayed high all the time. See, this wasn't like Andrew. This was me. Okay. I wanted to die. I didn't want to deal with my emotions from the past. The psychology, the psychological, the mental, and the emotional and sexual pain I endured. I didn't want to go through that. I didn't want to face that. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to deal with it. Whatever way you want to say it. I was avoiding it. Now, just because I was high, was that not there? No. And when I came down, it was there more because my voice in my head goes, "Oh my God, you got this and this and this to deal with. Oh my God, you got to get high again."
It's like a
Okay.
cancer that grows in your mind. And if it's not dealt with, then it just
You
keeps
see,
growing worse and worse.
you see, think of the greatest boxer that you can ever think of. My greatest boxer that I think was the greatest was Muhammad Ali. Uh, Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Now, if I put that into a recovery analogy, all right, Muhammad Ali is in the ring with George Foreman. We all know how that fight went. You know, Muhammad Ali beat the crap out of him. And my higher power does that to my disease every time it acts up. He gets in the ring and he's like, 1, 2, oh, out. 8, 1, 2, 8, 10. There, gone. You're up. KO'd. You know, he KOs it every time. He has a winning streak that has gone on for 30 years. because let go, let God. And that was a hard one for me because I was raised in a Christian home. And the minute you told God to me, I wanted to run the other way. I'm out of here. See ya. And my sponsor looked at me. He said, well, you can look at it as good orderly direction going on daily, you know, good group of druggies, that's what I've heard recently. So, and for the first little while, NA was my higher power. It really was. Because I had my sponsor, I had my friends, I had the meetings, and I had the literature. That was my higher power. That whole thing, not just one of those, because you don't want to make your sponsor your higher power because he could fail you or she could fail you. Okay? You don't want to make something, a thing, place your higher power because it can go away.
An inanimate object should not be your higher power. It
No,
just
no, I
shouldn't
know
be.
that.
I'm agreeing with you. I said it before, like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yep.
A doorknob, a book, a keyboard, a pen.
It has to be something tangible. Like if you say keyboard, okay, my keyboard right here. This is not going to stop me from using.
And if you think it is, give it a try and see how that works for you.
This battery is not going to stop me from using.
I'm getting a little sassy, but
my harmonica is not going to stop me from using. Okay?
Answer me this. Sorry to interrupt, but sometimes I just got to say something. How is this going to stop me from using? What is it physically going to do or mentally going to do or spiritually going to do to stop me from using? Okay? I want to hear all the dumb comments in the comment section that tell me how this mouse is going to prevent me. Just the mouse. It's not connected to anything. Just the mouse. It's not inside of a computer. You can't answer that question without trolling because honestly, dude, it's just fictitious. It's just fictitious. And God is not fictitious. God is not fictitious.
It says in the basic text. Now I'm going to go back to the basic text here. It says, for a while, willpower can keep us clean. Yes, I totally agree with that. My responsee, he went 8 months on willpower alone. We're working on step 2.
Huh.
He couldn't find that higher power. He couldn't find that niche, that connection. He's gone. He's back out there.
Didn't do step 2. Didn't do step 2.
He didn't even, he couldn't finish it because we got on step 2 and he couldn't connect with a power greater than himself. Okay. He couldn't. Okay. And the thing is, don't move on to step 3 if you haven't got a higher power, because then step 3 makes no sense. No. We became willing to turn our will and our lives over care of God of our understanding. But if you haven't got something to give that to,
if you're not willing to believe that you're not the higher power, step 3 will do nothing for you.
No.
You can't turn your will and your life over to yourself. I'm sorry. You already do that. You're already doing that. You're living on self-will. I'm living on self-will. We're all living on self-will if we're not turning our will over to a God of our understanding. It's that simple.
This is a topic that we will tackle. Okay? And it's political and it's very controversial. What is a higher power? What are some examples of a higher power? And that's a loaded question because it's not just going to be Andrew and myself in that one, because we need other people.
You know the saying I like, Kent?
What?
My best thinking got me into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous.
Yeah. And this is why.
That's the best I could do.
And this is why we are going to talk. And it's not just going to be Andrew and I. We have to work at getting a couple other people, maybe 2 or 3 people that can share what their higher power is. Because I have sponsees, their higher power is not my higher. They have a different higher power. And it works for them. And if it works for them, good. Because step 3 says, we became willing to turn our will and lives over care of God of my understanding, not someone else's, you know? And if someone says you can't have that as a higher power, tell them to screw off.
Can I just say this? Because I think this is going to help a lot of people conflicted out there listening to this video. When I got into recovery, I was torn over the fact I was obsessed with figuring out what God is. Like physically, what does God look like? What is God going to appear before me as? It's not about that. It's not about what is God. It's about what God does. You have to focus on what your God does. And if your God's not working for you, borrow one of ours. Our gods work. Kent's God got him 30 years clean. Somehow, my God got this idiot 10 years. Explain that. Explain that
what have
to
I
me.
told you? What have I told you about knocking yourself down, buddy?
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm just in one of those moods today. Okay.
Oh, you're
I'm
joking.
in one of those
Yeah,
moods today.
you're very funny looking. But that's besides the point.
Takes one to know one. Takes one to know
What do you
one.
mean? What do you
You're
mean?
the one. You're the one over there, wearing the yellow shirt today.
Oh, don't even go there. Okay. Anyway,
I will mail you one of my black tanks, and then we can be matching for next week.
And you know something, folks? When I go to the bathroom mirror, okay, my bathroom mirror is biased. I'll tell you why it's biased. Because I look in the bathroom mirror and I say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the prettiest of them all? And it looks at me and it says, sure ain't you, it's Charmaine.
And the mirror cracks.
I'm like, what does that mean? No, the mirror doesn't crack. I'm not that ugly. Miserable some bitch.
I'm just joking. I'm in a horrific mood today, but talking with Kent always makes me feel better, by the way, just for anyone wondering. We've been doing this. What you see him and I doing here today in this video, this is what him and I have been doing for the last decade, bro. The last decade, this is what it is. This is all it is, man. You guys think recovery is so fucking complicated? I can't stay clean. This is all it is. Meet people, talk to people.
You brought that subject up. I want to touch on that right now before. Okay.
Go for it.
People say, well, I can't stay clean. My sponsor asked me this. How much effort did you take to get your drugs? And I said, I did anything I could. He said, if you do that for your recovery, now listen to me, folks. I'll say it again. If you do what you did in addiction for your recovery, I guarantee you'll stay clean.
I guarantee you it's going to help you stay clean.
And here's proof right here. This old ugly fart, has 3 decades by the grace of God. I didn't just wake up one morning and have 30 years. It took a lot of freaking hard work. I did my steps. This will be the 7th time I've gone through my steps. So, yeah. Because when I work with a sponsee, I work the step they're working. And we work it together.
The steps are not a one and done thing. Okay? The steps is a way of life. You can do
it is.
And once you've done the steps, you can go back to other steps and do those steps over again.
Because if we look at step 12 is after having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other addicts and to practice these principles. Let me say that again. Practice these principles in all our affairs.
Notice how it
Like,
doesn't say, notice how it doesn't say, when we became perfect as a result of working these steps, we then tried to carry this message to other addicts and practice these principles in all our affairs. If we were perfect, we wouldn't need to practice anything because we'd be
well,
perfect.
if I was
Perfection.
perfect, I would. If I was perfect, I wouldn't look this bad. You know,
Oh, come
I would.
on.
I
You
wouldn't
don't
have
look that
scars
bad.
on my face. I
Not
wouldn't
that.
have scars on my face. I wouldn't have all these wrinkles. I
Not.
wouldn't have this gray hair. I wouldn't have this copper
It's
top
it's
head.
salt and pepper.
I wouldn't have this freaking long forehead that,
Well, just be
walk down the
grateful.
road and I walk down the road and the light hits it and the car driver goes, "What's that?" You
Listen,
know?
if you ever run out of power, at least you can fry an egg on your forehead. Just think of it like that.
I could basically fry an egg anytime because, I'm always hot. Um, you know,
No, but
and
all honesty, man, you're not bad looking for a 60-year-old guy. You're not doing too bad, man. It could be worse, right?
oh God, don't share that because then I'm
I'm
going to
just,
have 18 and 20-year-olds. Oh, you're so good looking. Why don't you date me? Because I don't think my wife would like that. You know?
it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot. You
It's
know,
just the law of attraction, man. Some of those women
I
out there,
appreciate,
they
I
want older
appreciate
men.
you jinxing me.
Well, as long as they're bugging you and not bugging me, that's all I care about.
Oh no, when they ask me, I'll say, no, there's a good looking guy. Here's his number. Go ahead, call him. He'll
Oh,
love to talk to you.
okay. Well, my numbers magically changed, bro. I'll just have to give you the new number after the show, so you can give them that
Well,
number.
that's okay. Yeah, I'll send them out. Yeah, I'll send them out. And that number will be
Five five
five
five
555. Bye bye. You know.
5555. Fuck off. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so
Uh,
grumpy today, man. If there's any women that have somehow made it to the end of this video to watch my dumbass talk the way I am talking today, but this is just what we do, man. Like, when you're having a bad day in recovery, the worst thing you can do is hold it in. That's the worst thing
let
you
me
can do, man.
let me tell you this. People say recovery isn't fun. Well, you're sitting here and you're looking at 40 years combined,
40 years,
and
dude.
we are having fun. Oh my God, I'm having fun in recovery. What's wrong with that? What did you do? Put the paranoid delusions away, people. You know, um,
When I was
my worst day in recovery, I lost my mom. This was my worst day in recovery, and I was clean. And you know what? I wouldn't take that day and trade it for my best day using. Why? Because yeah, you're going to think this is weird. I remember the feelings. I remember the emotions. And still, every year on her anniversary, I ball my face off. And when it comes to Mother's Day, it really gets me. Because my mom used to call me every Mother's Day before she got sick. I love you, son. I love you, Kent. She called me, you know, and that's not the way it's supposed to be.
That's rare.
But and my mom loved me, okay, and I miss her. You know, why do I miss her? Because I loved her. And when I say love, it's just not a word to me. Okay. It's feeling behind it. You know, I can look at Andrew and I can say to Andrew, I love him as a brother. You know, Andrew's not my friend. You we're not sponsor in that way. I look at Andrew as my brother.
We
When
leveled
my
up.
brother calls, when my brother calls me, I stop what I'm doing and I listen, except when I'm in a meeting and hosting. Other than that, I always answer him. I
Same.
always call him back. You know.
It's the same. If I see his number on my phone,
Yep.
then I just call him back or I answer the phone, you know?
Yep.
It's just that
And
simple.
it,
It's literally that simple.
and there was a time that Andrew said something and I hung up on him, and we didn't talk for a couple of months. But you see what happens? We're still talking. We're still we're still joking and cutting up and carrying on because um
Kent's the master of tough love, ladies and gentlemen. If you want a tough love sponsor, Kent's your man. Because when I came into the program, I was a coward. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I just kept doing the same thing over and over again and not understanding why I kept getting hurt, why I kept falling on my face. Kent would tell me the truth. And I would go, you don't know what you're talking about, old man. Shove it. And he'd just hang up on me. Well, that told me everything I needed to know. I actually started using that technique with people in my life, and you wouldn't believe the magnificent results that I got off that. How dare you hang up on me? Who do you think
and
you are?
you know where I learned that was from my first sponsor. I would probably be about 30, maybe 40 days clean. And oh my God, I so wanted to use. I called up my sponsor and I said, I want to use. Click. I called him up 3 times. Click every time. I called him up the 4th time. And I'm like, why are you hanging up on me? What's the problem? He said, I can't help you if you want to use. Call me when you're done. Well, I don't want to use, but I feel like I want to use. He said, that's different. He said, now we can talk. You see the difference? I want to use. Click. I can't help you. You want to use, I can't help you. You know, I can't. But if you don't want to use, because in Narcotics Anonymous, it clearly states in the Tradition 3, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. It doesn't say a desire to stop, it says a desire to stop using. So there's a big difference in that and not using. There's a big difference in that. It doesn't require you not to use. It requires you to have a desire not to use. There's a
Yeah,
big difference.
yep, exactly. Like saying to your sponsor, I want to go out and use right now. He's just going to
Click.
be like, all right, have fun. Like that's what a
Yep.
sponsor should do.
No, I wouldn't even do that. I just click.
Now, if you call your sponsor up and say, my mind is telling me to use, but I know it's not right, and I want some help with
Now we
that,
can talk. Well,
we're good to
okay,
go.
let's go read. Let's go read this pamphlet.
You just
You
got to
know?
just got to word it properly, right? Because even your sick mind is going to tell you that it's okay to use, that you should tell others I'm going to use. All that's going to do is push people away. And that's what your disease wants you to do. Your disease wants to isolate you so that it can get you alone and get you to use, get you high again, right?
Yep,
So,
that's it. All right. We realize this is a long video, but this was a very touchy subject.
Ken, it's a
And
podcast. It's a podcast. That's normal, man. I've seen some podcasts do 2-3 hour podcasts. We can go
yeah,
as long
well,
as you want.
you,
Well, not
you,
as long as you
you,
want, but
yeah. I was just gonna say you better back that truck up.
I'm not. No, like we're good. We're more than good. I think we've covered the subject well today. Honestly, I think if nothing more, I've learned a lot, about relationships today, and that's all it is, man. That's all it is. Recovery is all about relationships.
Well, the one thing I learned in this program is recovery is a process. Now listen to that for a second. Recovery is a process. Yeah, do y'all understand what that means?
It's like cooking. It's like cooking.
Yeah,
You don't
yes.
just throw everything in a pan all at the same time and expect it to be done instantly. That's not how
Because
cooking works.
if you're anything like I am, okay, When I want a coffee, I want a coffee. And if I sit there and watch that kettle, it takes forever to boil. And if I walk away and go do something, then I hear, damn, why is it ready already? You see? Recovery works the same way. Don't think about getting a year. Don't think about getting 20 years. Don't think about getting 10 years. Don't even think about it. Don't even let it enter your head. Today.
Think about
Just
today.
today. Anybody, it says this in the basic text, anybody can stay clean for 24 hours. It says that right in our basic text. Okay? However, if you start
Combining.
if you start complicating it, okay, and thinking, oh, when am I going to get a year? Well, I'll tell you this, and this is, Andrew might say the same thing. I remember working on my steps, working through everything with my sponsor, and all of a sudden I'm at a year, and I'm, how'd I get here? No,
The time starts to fly by, man.
it does. Because if you look at a wound, okay, a festering sore, it looks more worse than it is sometimes. But if you go and get that looked at and put, a gauze over it and stitch it up if it needs stitched up, well, now it doesn't look so bad looking at the gauze, right? And then when you take it off and you go get the stitches out, it doesn't look as bad as it did. Well, that's what recovery is. It's stitching up the fineness in your life that we screwed up.
The growth is very slow. Like you don't even notice it in yourself. Well,
No,
other people will notice it in you before you
yes,
notice it in yourself.
I'm glad you said that because I was just going to say that
But
other people will notice before you do.
but you have to put yourself out there. You have to present yourself so that they have the opportunity to help you, because if you don't want help, then there's nothing that the program will ever be able to do for you.
No.
Other than, failure is your best asset at that point. That's what got me into recovery. Failure. None of us came into the rooms and our first share ever was, hey guys, my name is so and so, and my life is wonderful. How are y'all doing today? That's so far from the truth. You wouldn't even, if you came into a room and said that, the room would probably burst out laughing, wouldn't they, Kent?
Yep.
If a newcomer
They would.
actually came into a room and said that, I think everyone would just walk out laughing like, you just made my day, dude. But normally
Yep.
what they come in and say is the complete opposite. My life is a mess. I'm homeless. I'm put it on the streets. I just lost my job, my wife, my dog, blah, 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 blah. And I'm ready to just end it all. That's pretty much what the newcomer comes in and says, if they're being dead honest with themselves. Narcotics Anonymous is a program that people turn to when they have nowhere else to turn.
Yep.
That's generally what it's used for. But it's available for everybody. There's open meetings, there's closed meetings, which means there's meetings that everyone is allowed to attend. And then there's closed meetings, which means only addicts that are members of Narcotics Anonymous can attend. So if you are interested in finding a meeting and just observing or looking into a meeting, I suggest you go on narcoticsanonymous.org. We'll link it in the description and find an open meeting that you can go and just sit and listen, and you won't be pressured to share or anything like that. You can just sit and hear the story. Actually, I would advise a speaker meeting if you're that shy, because it's just going to be one person speaking for the majority of the meeting,
Well,
and you'll be able to hear a longer
and you know
share.
what? If you're on YouTube, you search out any speakers and you'll find all kinds of them there. Before we close, I want to share something with you that my sponsor shared with me, because I had a lot of trouble letting my past go. And this is a poem. It's called the words of wisdom. It's called yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There are 2 days in every week which we should not worry about. 2 days which can be kept free from fear and apprehension. One of those days is yesterday's, with its mistakes, its cares, its flaws, its blunders, its aches and pains. Yesterday has passed forever beyond our control. All the money in the world cannot bring back yesterday. We can't undo a single act we perform. We can't erase a single word that was said. Yesterday is gone. Sorry, I had something pop on my screen. The other day we should not worry about is tomorrow, with its possibilities.
Can you
Its
repeat that last
adversaries.
sentence? It kind of cut out there. We
The
should
other
not worry
day-
about, yeah.
The other day that we should not worry about is tomorrow, with its possibilities of adversaries and burdens, its large promise and poor performance. Tomorrow is also beyond our immediate control. Tomorrow's sun will rise either in splendor or behind a mask of clouds, but it will rise.
Did you say in blunder?
In blunder.
In blunder, okay.
But it will rise. Until it does, we have no stake in tomorrow, for it's yet unborn. That leaves only one day today. Any person can fight the battles of just one day. It is only when we add the burdens of those two awful eternities, yesterday and tomorrow, that will break down. It is not the experience of today that drives us mad. It's the remorse of the bitterness and something which happened yesterday, that the dread of what tomorrow may bring. Let us therefore live one day at a time.
Awesome. That did sound pretty cool, actually. I never heard that one before.
Well, I'll send it to you on WhatsApp. And
Sure.
anybody can find it. You can find it online.
What was that called again?
The words of wisdom. Sometimes they say it, the poem yesterday, today, and
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yep. If you just Google search that, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, you'll have a bunch of them come up, and it will it helped me, because I couldn't let my resentment for my abuse go. And because I let that go, I was a pallbearer at my father's funeral. Okay?
Your mic keeps cutting out, Kent. Like the last 3 seconds. Paul Bearer, go from there.
I was a pallbearer at my father's funeral. And that's because I let my resentment, my hatred, and freed myself from the past. Now, does that negate or eliminate my past? No, it doesn't. It just means I'm not living in it. I'm not sitting in it. Because the longer I sit in tomorrow, I'm not worrying about today. And if I'm looking at tomorrow, I'm not dealing with my problems today, am I?
Yep.
And
that's what they say is anxiety is the future and depression is the past, right? And
yep.
Peace is in the here and now. That's the biggest challenge for people, is to stay in the here and now.
Yep, it is.
Let's leave them with one thought. If you could just summarize this whole thing with one thought, what would you leave the people with today?
One thought.
One thought. It could be like
it's
short.
one thought is this. If I do as the predecessors have done in this program, I will not fail.
So follow the leader. Find a good leader and follow the leader. Find someone that has something you want and go out and get it. All right, YouTube, that's all for us today. My name is Andrew. This is Kent. This has been another episode of Recovery Station Podcast number 3, and we're out. Peace.
Peace, love.